Most people squeeze ketchup onto their fries without giving it a second thought. To them, it's just a simple condiment, bright, sweet, tangy, and always there when they need it. But behind every bottle of Heinz ketchup lies a process far more precise and carefully engineered than most people ever imagine. Before it becomes the thick, glossy red sauce that slides slowly from the iconic bottle, it begins as thousands of tomatoes growing under the sun. These aren't ordinary tomatoes. They are special processing tomatoes, bred to be firm, flavorful, and packed with natural color. And each of them is harvested at the exact moment of peak ripeness. From the farm to the factory, every step is controlled. The tomatoes are sorted, washed, crushed, heated, condensed, seasoned, and finally cooked into the ketchup millions of people know so well. A single batch can require tons of tomatoes, and even a slight change in sweetness or acidity can shift the flavor of the entire production line. Today, we're stepping behind the scenes into the journey of how America's most famous ketchup is truly made. A story of engineering, flavor, and the pursuit of perfect consistency. Ketchup may seem like one of the simplest condiments on the table, but in the United States, it holds a cultural status few sauces ever reach. From diners and fast food chains to home kitchens and backyard barbecues, ketchup is everywhere. And one brand, Heinz, dominates the landscape more than any other, controlling a massive share of the market and shaping how Americans expect ketchup to taste. What makes ketchup so special is its perfect balance. It's sweet, but not candy-like. Tangy, but not harsh. Savory, but still light enough to pair with almost anything. Achieving that balance isn't easy. It requires precise control over acidity, natural sugars, tomato concentration, spices, and even viscosity. One minor shift in any of those factors can change the flavor profile instantly. The scale is equally impressive. Every year, millions upon millions of bottles roll off factory lines, and each one must match the unmistakable taste people have known for generations. Consistency is everything. Ketchup isn't just a sauce, it's a standard, a flavor benchmark, and a product built on trust. To understand ketchup is to understand the massive agricultural and industrial system behind it. And that journey begins in the fields. Before ketchup becomes the thick, vibrant sauce we recognize, its story begins in vast fields filled with rows of specialized tomatoes. These aren't the soft, juicy varieties sold in grocery stores. They're known as processing tomatoes, firmer, richer in color, and bred specifically for cooking. Their skins are thicker, their flavor deeper, and their natural solids much higher, making them ideal for producing tomato paste, the foundation of ketchup. These tomatoes are grown in sun-drenched regions with dry climates, where the heat helps develop sweetness and the lack of humidity reduces disease. Farmers monitor the fields closely, watching for the perfect balance of red color, acidity, and natural sugar content. Timing is everything. Harvesting too early results in weak flavor, while harvesting too late reduces firmness and natural brightness. When the moment is right, mechanical harvesters sweep through the fields. These machines collect tons of tomatoes in minutes, separating fruit from vines while minimizing damage. The tomatoes are loaded immediately into large bins or trailers, where they're transported straight to the processing plant, often on the same day. Freshness matters. The sooner the tomatoes reach the factory, the better the color, flavor, and consistency of the final ketchup. Once the freshly harvested tomatoes arrive at the processing plant, the very first mission is simple but essential. Clean them and remove anything that doesn't belong in ketchup. These tomatoes come straight from the fields, still carrying dust, leaves, stems, and the occasional damaged fruit. Before they can become part of Heinz's signature flavor, they must be thoroughly inspected and prepared. The tomatoes are unloaded onto wide conveyor belts, where the sorting process begins. Large rotating drums and mechanical sifters separate out leaves, vines, and small debris. From there, the tomatoes move into high-pressure water channels. Powerful jets wash away dirt and soil while keeping the fruit moving steadily forward. Next comes a more advanced stage, optical sorting. High-speed cameras scan each tomato's color and shape. If a tomato is too green, underripe, bruised, or otherwise unsuitable, a precisely timed burst of air knocks it off the line. Only the best, brightest red tomatoes continue onward. In some facilities, workers also stand along the belts for final hand sorting, removing anything machines might miss. By the end of this stage, the tomatoes are clean, uniform, and ready for the next big transformation, crushing and heating. Once the tomatoes are fully cleaned and sorted, they move into one of the most important phases of ketchup production, crushing and heating. This is where whole tomatoes begin their transformation into the thick, red foundation that defines Heinz ketchup. The tomatoes enter large industrial crushers, where rotating blades break them apart into a mixture of juice, flesh, and skin. This blend is known as tomato pulp, and it's the raw base from which all ketchup begins. The goal at this stage is to break the tomatoes down quickly while preserving their natural color and flavor. Immediately after crushing, the pulp is heated. This rapid heating serves several purposes. It preserves the bright red color. It kills unwanted bacteria. It helps separate the pulp from seeds and skin, and it stabilizes the natural sugars and acids for better flavor. Large steam-filled tubes or heat exchangers warm the pulp evenly without burning it. The temperature must be high enough to sterilize, but controlled enough to keep the flavor fresh, a balance achieved through decades of refinement. By the time this stage is complete, the tomatoes are no longer recognizable as whole fruit. They've become a smooth, steaming mixture, ready for the next major transformation, concentration into tomato paste. After the tomatoes have been crushed and heated, the mixture is still far too thin to become ketchup. Tomato pulp naturally contains a large amount of water, and to create Heinz's signature thickness and deep flavor, that water must be removed. This is where the evaporation stage comes in, one of the most powerful transformations in the entire production line. The hot pulp flows into massive industrial evaporators, machines designed to slowly remove moisture while protecting flavor. Using controlled heat and reduced pressure, the evaporators allow water to disappear without burning or overcooking the tomatoes. As steam rises and moisture escapes, the mixture becomes thicker, richer, and more concentrated. What begins as tons of raw tomatoes shrinks into a dense, vibrant tomato paste, the essential base for every batch of ketchup. This paste is loaded with natural tomato solids, bright acidity, and deep red color. It's what gives Heinz ketchup its unmistakable body. The process is so efficient that hundreds of pounds of tomatoes can be reduced to a fraction of their original volume in minutes. Once the paste reaches the perfect consistency, it moves to the next stage, where spices, vinegar, and other key ingredients are added. Once the tomato paste reaches its ideal thickness, it enters the stage that gives Heinz ketchup its unmistakable flavor. The carefully balanced blend of sweetness, acidity, saltiness, and spices. This formula has been refined for more than a century, and while the exact measurements are closely guarded, the core ingredients are well known. The paste flows into large stainless steel mixing tanks, where a controlled stream of vinegar is added first. Vinegar provides the tangy backbone of ketchup, giving it its sharp, bright edge. Next comes sugar, which softens the acidity and adds the familiar sweetness people expect with every squeeze. Salt enhances flavor and helps preserve the mixture. But what truly defines the Heinz profile is the blend of spices. While the company keeps the specific ratios confidential, the mix typically includes onion powder, garlic powder, and a selection of natural seasonings that create depth and warmth. Even the smallest adjustment can shift the entire character of a batch, meaning precision here is everything. The mixture is stirred slowly but continuously, allowing every ingredient to dissolve and integrate into the paste. This is where ketchup becomes more than tomatoes. It becomes a perfected flavor balance recognized around the world. With all key ingredients added, tomato paste, vinegar, sugar, salt, and spices, the mixture enters a critical phase, mixing and cooking. This is where the raw components meld together, creating the thick, glossy ketchup texture that pours slowly and consistently from every Heinz bottle. Inside enormous steam-jacketed kettles, heavy-duty industrial paddles begin to stir the mixture. The motion is steady and controlled, ensuring that every part of the kettle heats evenly. Uneven heating could caramelize the sugars too quickly or dull the bright red color. So temperature control is exact. Never too hot, never too cool. As the mixture cooks, the flavors deepen. The vinegar softens, the spices bloom, and the sugars gently caramelize, creating that signature Heinz sweetness. The heat also activates natural pectin in the tomatoes, helping give ketchup its iconic thickness and body. Throughout the process, sensors monitor viscosity, how thick or thin the ketchup is becoming. If it's too loose, cooking continues. If it thickens too fast, adjustments are made in real time. By the end of this stage, the mixture has transformed from simple tomato paste into a fully developed ketchup base, smooth, balanced, and packed with flavor. Before any batch of ketchup can move forward, it must pass a series of strict quality control checks. Heinz is known for consistency. Every bottle must look, taste, and pour exactly the same, whether it's made today or 6 months from now. Achieving that level of uniformity requires an impressive amount of testing. First, the ketchup is evaluated for color. Special sensors measure the intensity of the red hue, comparing it to precise internal standards. Even a slight variation in shade can signal differences in tomato quality or cooking temperature. Next comes viscosity testing, how thick the ketchup is. Heinz ketchup is famous for pouring slowly, and that isn't an accident. Machines test the flow rate, ensuring the ketchup has the perfect balance between thickness and smoothness. If it runs too quickly or refuses to budge, adjustments are made. Finally, a trained tasting panel samples each batch. These experts look for the signature balance of sweetness, tanginess, saltiness, and spice. They can detect differences that machines can't, small shifts in flavor that might affect the final product. Only when color, texture, and taste all match Heinz's strict standards does the ketchup move on to bottling. Once the ketchup has passed every quality test, it moves into one of the most visually impressive stages of the entire production line, filling the bottles. This is where the sauce transitions from massive stainless steel tanks into the familiar containers found on store shelves. The ketchup is kept warm and gently pressurized as it travels through a network of sterile pipes toward the filling machines. Jars and squeeze bottles are placed onto high-speed conveyor belts, moving in perfectly timed formation. Each bottle is aligned with a filling nozzle, positioned down to the millimeter. When the system activates, dozens of nozzles lower and dispense ketchup with precise control. Every bottle receives the exact same amount, not a drop more, not a drop less. The pressure must be perfectly balanced. Too high, and the ketchup splashes. Too low, and air pockets form inside the bottle. As soon as the bottles are filled, caps are applied instantly, either by twisting or by snapping into place depending on the design. A quick vacuum or sealing process ensures freshness and prevents contamination. Each bottle then passes through inspection sensors that check fill levels, cap alignment, and seal integrity. Only the bottles that meet every criteria continue to the packaging stage. After the bottles are filled and securely sealed, they move into the final major phase of production, labeling and packaging. This is where the ketchup receives its identity, the familiar Heinz branding that customers instantly recognize on store shelves. As the bottles travel along the conveyor belt, they pass through automated label applicators. Each machine aligns the bottle with incredible precision, applying the front and back labels at the exact angle and height. The adhesive must bond perfectly, ensuring the label stays smooth with no wrinkles, bubbles, or misplacements. Even the smallest misalignment is enough for the system to reject a bottle. Once labeled, every bottle is stamped with important details: the production date, the batch number, and the plant code. These markings allow Heinz to track every bottle back to the exact moment it was made, a critical part of food safety and quality assurance. Next, robotic arms gently group the bottles into sets, placing them into boxes or shrink-wrapped trays. The packaging is designed for stability during transport, protecting each bottle as it moves through distribution centers, trucks, and finally into store aisles. By the end of this stage, the ketchup looks identical to what consumers expect: polished, branded, and ready for shipment. From fields of sun-ripened tomatoes to the high-precision machinery of modern production lines, the journey of Heinz ketchup is far more intricate than its simple squeeze might suggest. Every bottle represents a chain of decisions, from the farmers who nurture the tomatoes to the engineers who fine-tune the systems, to the quality teams who guard the flavor that millions of people recognize instantly. Ketchup may look ordinary, but its creation is anything but. It demands exact timing, precise chemistry, and constant vigilance. The sweetness must land perfectly. The acidity must be sharp but balanced. The thickness must be identical from one bottle to the next. And all of it must match a standard created more than a century ago. By the time the ketchup reaches store shelves, it has already passed through countless hands, machines, sensors, and tests, each one ensuring that the final product is unmistakably Heinz. So the next time you squeeze ketchup onto a burger or dip a fry into that bright red swirl, take a moment to appreciate the journey inside every bottle. A journey of flavor, engineering, and tradition, all captured in a single, slow-pouring line of ketchup.